All right, so we got a new bill that's been proposed in Florida. Let me throw this up on the screen for you here. This is from a local news outlet in Florida, WESH. It's an NBC affiliate. Florida bill would give courts power to change custody rights if child seeks gender-affirming care. So here's what they say. On Monday, the Florida Senate's Health Policy Committee discussed Senate Bill 254 for the first time. The proposed legislation would grant courts temporary emergency jurisdiction over children in this state if they are at risk of or are being subject to the provision of sex reassignment prescriptions or procedures, otherwise known as gender-affirming care. Republican State Senator Clay Yarborough from Jacksonville explained why he filed the proposal. Quote, "We want to let kids be kids in Florida. The overall goal of the bill is to protect the children of our state," Yarborough said at Monday's hearing. In a news release earlier this month, Yarborough said, "As lawmakers, we have to draw the line when drastic, life-altering gender dysphoria therapies and surgeries are mutilating young children. SB 254 would also require licensed facilities to attest that they are not providing such treatments to patients under 18. People who violate the legislation could face criminal charges. Quote, "This is an egregious assault on parental rights," said Brandon Wolf, a spokesperson for Equality Florida. So let's pause and reflect on this here for a second. One of the big things DeSantis has been leaning into in other areas is parental rights. And he wants the parents to have like a more direct say over what the curriculum is in schools, for example. Here's an example where they're like, oh, take the kids from the parents if we don't agree with their ideology and we don't agree with what's going on with the kid. Wow. Okay. So now let me get one super important fact out there that really puts this into perspective for people. They don't do bottom surgery on kids. They don't do it. That's not a thing. They don't do bottom surgery on kids. So the whole framework of the bill is you're going after something that doesn't exist. Now, my guess is the bill is not just about bottom surgery. The bill is also about puberty blockers or hormones. That's my guess, is that they say, hey, if you're under 18, even more mild medical interventions, we're not going to allow it. And that is where they are taking a position that is definitely anti-expert. So from their perspective, they think like, oh my God, any kid or any person who's under 18 who is trans, they would argue, oh, it's all because they have these super ideological, crazy far-left parents who are basically forcing the kids to become trans or confusing them about their own gender and leading them down a wrong path. Guys, I don't know how else to say this. There is no evidence of that being a big problem. There just isn't. In fact, when you look at what's called the detransition rate, it's about 1%. So when somebody begins to do take certain medicines or do certain procedures in order to transition, only 1% of them say, hey, this actually isn't the path I wanted to go down, which is a good thing. You want to make sure it's only people who really feel this way that can go down this path. But the way it works now is it's not like they make it seem like a 7-year-old goes to some clinic and they're like, I woke up this morning and I feel like I want to be the opposite gender. So please, let's go ahead and get to chopping. That's not how it works, man. There was a great article. I forget if it was in Washington Post or New York Times a while back, but Crystal was doing a deep dive on this topic and she went through it. And it was really interesting because it explained the way it works already now. And the way it works already now is pretty thorough. Now, there's some debate and disagreement among experts as to where certain lines are for certain procedures, et cetera. But, you know, the gist of it is bottom surgery for young people, it's off the table. You don't do that until you're older. What is on the table is, you know, if people are sure and they consult with the medical experts and it's very clear that, hey, this person needs puberty blockers, so they give themselves more time to actually make a decision, or hormones, or in some rare instances, top surgery, that would effectively be allowed. So I think the main point here is they want to legalize kidnapping, right? They want to legalize kidnapping. Take the kid from the parents if the kid is living a non-traditional lifestyle vis-a-vis their gender. And you could easily see something like this pop up before we had the gay rights revolution, where it's like, hey, if your kid is gay, maybe you failed as a parent, maybe we should take your kid. It feels like you're just rehashing the same sort of mania that we had back then. And I think it's psychotic. And this is based, by the way, off of a similar bill that came up in Florida. Same kind of idea. hey, kidnap the kid if they're, they're a trans kid or whatever, that by definition means some sort of abuse from the parents. So they should be in protective custody. There's nothing else to say other than you're wrong. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. A gay person is just a gay person. A trans person is just a trans person. And look, I agree with taking a reasonable, intelligent, expert-driven approach, medical-driven approach, where they determine case by case and they're smart about it and they don't do bottom surgery on young people. I think all that's perfectly reasonable, but that's already the case as it exists right now. That's already the case as it exists right now. So whatever kind of medical interventions are being done for people in sort of the middle ground between you're not really an adult, but you're not a kid anymore, that is very thorough, very meticulous, and this is just throwing a wrench in the whole thing and effectively trying to criminalize trans people. That's what it is. And they let it hang out more and more every day, just how anti-trans they are. They really do. Because now you have a bunch of them saying, Michael Knowles saying, eradicate transgenderism. Matt Walsh, who famously said on Twitter he thinks the surgery should be banned even for doctors doing it on adults. You guys are sort of letting the game slip here. You know, you're letting the mask slip, I should say. You're letting it all hang out. And this isn't about protecting kids. It never was about protecting kids. It's about you view alternative lifestyles as, by their very nature, threatening to tradition and degenerate and bad. And so you think it's less of a harm to literally kidnap kids from their parents than for somebody to just be trans. I look in the mirror, man. The criminals appear to be you. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.